Hello and welcome to this brand new series of videos on the Gym RPG channel. This is going to be a playthrough of Elden Ring. Now I don't know how far I'm going to get into Elden Ring because of all of the Souls games I have beaten Demon Souls and I'm about halfway through Dark Souls and then I had to put it down. I got up to about Sen's Fortress there. And I've also played a little bit of Bloodborne, but I just found that really difficult and I didn't have time to play. I have also played through Neo and I absolutely loved that game. That was fantastic, although I will say that did get very hard as well. So I don't know how far I'm going to get into this, but I'm going to play as much as I can. And as you can see there, I am just talking over this bit of an edited video of roughly about 10 hours all the way up to Margit the Fell Omen. I think that's what it's called. So I'll mostly concentrate on the boss battles here. And so I think that is the most exciting part, watching all of these boss battles. I think this first video is a little bit long. I would like to keep them at around 10 minutes, but I think it's at about 17. So I do apologize, but yeah, I will talk my way through most of the video here. And I haven't really decided on the name yet. At the moment, I'm going with Elden Ring Travelogue because it is the lands between, and we're kind of traveling through the lands and seeing what is out there. But also, I do want to kind of focus in on the bosses because they are the most exciting part. So in this first video, we're going to go through roughly, all of the, I guess, problems that I had at the start. I did find this quite difficult at the start, getting into that sort of Souls with the rhythm. I knew how to play because I just recently started playing Dark Souls on the Nintendo Switch again, and I realized if you just try to grind a few levels to begin with and level up that way, then it makes it a little bit easier at the start. And as you can see, right at the start here, I'm getting absolutely destroyed by this dude, and I lasted all of about 7 seconds. But yeah, it's definitely difficult at the start. If you're one of those people who are not sure if they're ready for this type of experience, what I will say though is that you have to be prepared for the first 5 hours, 10 hours to kind of get to grips with the way that the combat system works, and you really have to think about when you're going to strike, when to back off. Most of the time it comes down to the game wants you to learn all of the enemy's moveset. So most of the time you shouldn't be the one to strike first. You should be the one to just wait and see what the enemy does, wait for an opening and then attack. And then the other thing, of course, is like you can be a little bit too greedy and the game will pounce on that greed and make you pay for it. So this is really the opening of the game here. Previously, all of that intro stuff kind of sets the scene, it sets the mood of like who you are and how you actually turned up here. But this dude is a bit of a rude awakening for anybody who's never played a Souls game before, because this is not actually how hard the game is. But this dude is tough. Like, I didn't beat this the Tree Sentinel until about 10 hours into this game, and honestly, like, I felt like I did okay here, like dodging a lot of the attacks. So and then most of the time you can just roll through all of these attacks, and it's quite a large window, at least for all of these early bosses. But as you can see there, it didn't last really long, maybe a minute or so before he finally took care of me. But the Tree Sentinel is one tough cookie, and also the boss closer to Stormveil Castle, Margit the Fell Omen, is also really difficult as well, and they're really kind of like the rites of passage. You really have to once you beat those two bosses, the Tree Sentinel and Margit, I would say that it gets infinitely easier after that, because not only have you leveled up your character to be able to beat those bosses, but now you're learning like, okay, well, there are times I can attack, times I can't attack, but that boss there in that cave, that guy is pretty easy. I knew, like, even though I died that time, I figured he wasn't that tough. Not as tough as the Tree Sentinel, because the Tree Sentinel is actually quite fast. And I would even say that the Tree Sentinel is tougher than Margit the Fell Omen. At least, I think, like, you can get lucky with the Tree Sentinel, because he can get stuck between those rocks and things, so then it's easier to get a few extra hits in. Now this area is like quite close to the start of that Stormveil castle opening area, and this is a great place to grind a few of your opening levels, because you only need about 1,000 runes at the start to level up, and you can get maybe like a couple of thousand here at this opening area. This is kind of like the boss guy, even though he's not really a boss, but he's the toughest enemy in this ruins section. But I enjoyed this fight, which is why I left this footage in, and yeah, I was pretty happy about that, because that was really the first time I defeated a really tough enemy. So I left him in, and then after that I was like, yeah, now I can go and beat this other dude, Beastman, Farum, Azula. He wasn't that hard at all, because he has a few attacks where you can just, you know he's coming, so it's like, well, you can block some of these, and then the really aggressive attack, you can roll through it. But aside from that, he is not that difficult. I think the only difficult one is where he jumps up in the air, and you can miss it if he comes down on you hard, like this one here. But if you can dodge that, then you've got a few hits that you can attack him with. But yeah, after I took care of that boss, I was pretty happy with how it was going, and I knew that all I really needed to do was just level up a little bit more, then I would be able to take down Margit the Fell Omen and also the Tree Sentinel. So here I am, making my way up to Margit. Now I believe there was a giant just before this, so I took care of that guy, but I actually didn't take a video the first time I took him down, and that was an awesome battle because I had like one tiny sliver of health left, but I still managed to kill him anyway. So a lot of this part here is pretty easy, nothing really to write home about here. So it's really like once you just get up to before the castle, where it about here, where you really need to avoid the ballista artillery here with the horse, so you can get up there faster, and then you can destroy it from behind, and then you're right at Margit the Fell Omen. But I got here, and then I went back to do the Tree Sentinel after I got up here. So, as I said, before I tackled the Margit the Fell Omen, I went back and did the Tree Sentinel, and this is my fight with him and me taking him down. Now, I've actually been playing this for about an hour, and it took about an hour to kind of really figure it out. I know that's probably a long time for real Souls fans, Souls expert fans, but you know, had been a while since I played a Souls game. And I think the issue that I had was I got stuck a lot. So sometimes when you get stuck and then you can't roll, in a certain area, then it becomes, then he can really, like for example there, like you don't even know if he's going to land on you or not. So that was tricky, but at the same time I also wanted to kind of get him stuck around that rocks area so that he didn't have anywhere else to go. I knew that was my best chance of beating him, so that's why I was fighting close to there. So, you know, a bit of give and take there. But you can see that I've got quite a number of health potions left. And the other thing is, like, he doesn't give you that much time to do your potions, because he'll come after you quite quickly. But as you can see, I mostly got a hold of like exactly when he's going to strike and when he's not going to. So, and the other thing was when I first started doing this, I didn't have the Ashes of War lone wolves for the Tree Sentinel battle, so that helped a lot, as does with Margit the Fell Omen here. It also helps a lot here as well, especially in the second phase. I would definitely be trying to save up the wolves for any second phases of any of the big bosses, because usually that's pretty much the toughest part. But yeah, and the other thing that I was having trouble with Margit the Fell Omen was that I was finding it difficult to dodge the hammer. Like, I could dodge the initial phase 1 attacks pretty comfortably, like I knew all of the attacks, but with the hammer it always seemed to get me until I found exactly when to roll through that hammer. I think I'll probably do it at the end here, but this was an awesome fight. Like, I think I rolled through here, so yeah, you can see that I figured out when to roll through that hammer. But I only just managed to beat Margit, and it took about another hour as well to beat Margit. And I'm pretty sure that if I had to fight him again now, that it would take nowhere near as long if I played through the game again. Because once you learn all the attacks, you kind of know when to roll. And the thing with Elden Ring is that there's a lot of invincibility frames that make you invincible as you're doing the roll. So you don't have to be that exact. But of course, like the first time you play through it, it always feels like it's a really tough battle. So now I'm about 20 hours into the game. So when I played Margit, I was about 10 hours through the game. So I'm about 20 hours through. I haven't played Stormveil Castle yet. I've gone and done some of the other parts of Limgrave, Weeping Peninsula. I've done Castle Morn. So I went back, tried to level up a little bit more before I went to Stormveil Castle, because I read that recommended level for Stormveil Castle was around 30 to 40. So I figured I'd better level up some more. I don't remember exactly what level I'm here, possibly around 30 something, but I have gained another 10 levels since then. Now I'm kind of just like waiting for his hammer so I can roll through that. That's the easiest one to roll through. And normally you should be able to get 2 hits through that. And the nice thing about Elden Ring is that the stamina bar is really long. I went back and played Dark Souls, and the stamina bar is much shorter at the start of the game. So you really only have like maybe 2 or 3 hits, or maybe 2 or 3 rolls. But here, you have at least 4 or 5 rolls that you can do before you run out of stamina. But here we go, like, he telegraphs it so easily. And then even there, I was surprised actually I was able to get 1 more hit through, but I knew I had a bit of health where I could afford to take that risk. But there you go, that's Margit the Fell Omen down. And that about does it for this video. And in the next video, we're going to take a look at the other areas of Lingrave. We're going to take a look at Castle Morn as well. So until then, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.